Welcome to Subramani. I'm going to talk to you maybe over one or two videos about behavioral biases and how at what stage it impacts and what do you have to be worried about. So from my voice modulation, I hope to tell you which is green, which is amber, which is red, and which you have to be more alert. So first of all, what is the investment process that we talk about? Like suppose you are an investment consultant or a financial stroke investment consultant, and you deal with a lot of people. The first thing you would want to do is an asset inventory. What are the shares that you hold? Why did you buy them? Who advises you on these shares? Why did you buy these mutual funds? Who advised you? Did you buy it on your own? Have you been a DIY who is coming here? Right? So that kind of an asset inventory is first what you will do. Second, you will spend an inordinately long time. Like I say, asset inventory is so much time. You then spend so much time on objectives and goal setting. Now, objective and goal setting, the problem is many people know what they want, but what they don't want is something which the advisor should talk about. What I mean is, everybody knows that, I have to get my children educated, I have to get my children married. A typical Indian, at least, I do not know internationally. I want to make a foreign trip, I want to buy a bigger house, I want to buy a car, and I want to. But what we don't want is the impediments there. So what could be the impediments? It could be disability, it could be critical illness, it could be a illness which puts you on bed for 6 months, you're unable to earn money, or of course there could be early death. So all the negative things the potential client or the prospect, let us call him, does not think of. So it is your job to remind that person that these things could happen, right? So therefore setting goals and creating objectives is going to take a very long period of time. Also, it is your job now at this stage to be able to say what is a realistic goal and what is not a realistic goal, because the money that you have is only for realistic goals. Unrealistic goals, they may not have enough money, or if he has enough money, he may be punching way below his weight. He may be earning 1 lakh rupees or 2 lakh rupees a month and maybe spending only 25,000. So there could be a big gap. A lot of money could be invested, or it could be he's earning 30,000 a month and spending 29,000, and there is absolutely very little for him to invest and save. And it is your job to make sure that this goes down or this goes up, and so some space is created for achieving those goals and objectives, right? So then you come to plan, design and implementation, and then monitoring, then adjusting and rebalancing. So just before monitoring, you will also say, okay, some of these mutual funds you should redeem and put it here, or some things like that. You may make some changes. So investing, choosing which fund in which to invest, and then monitoring, and then asset rebalancing, saying, okay, you got too much money in equity, put some in debt. You got too much money in debt, put some money in equity. This is the whole process. Now let us see where all could you be hit by biases. First of all, in the asset inventory stage, of course, there is no bias, because the client is just telling you on an assess basis that I got 50 lakhs lying in the savings bank account, or some humongous amount lying in the savings bank account, because I have not invested for a long period of time. That is one possibility, but there is going to be no bias. It's only going to be truth and the whole truth. So you have to make sure that the client has given you all his bank accounts, the amount lying in his provident fund, the amount lying in his previous company's provident fund which is not yet transferred. You want a complete inventory of what the client has, or if you're a DIY, what you have. You sit with your wife, write down, okay, if it's a woman watching, they're only 5%, I want to increase that number, please. Or if it's a woman who is handling this, then she sits with her husband and makes that inventory. Making the inventory can sometimes be a long drawn process if you have not kept it in one location. So go to a good place, load it, and then the IFA or the MFD will want a so where could you get the bias? Not so much at this stage, but in the goal setting and planning stage, you could get some bias. Let's look at that. what are the fallacies or mistakes or biases that can happen in the goal setting thing is, one is to underestimate the impact of time on your portfolio, which means you have to be really worried about things which you have not worried in the immediate past. So currently when I'm making this video in January 2022, one thing which has not bothered us at all is about interest rates going up. We have never bothered about interest rates going up because we have had this impact of over the last few years interest rates only going down. You've seen interest rates going down like this. From 12% for your housing loan, you may now be at 6.95% or 6.75%. So you think interest rates will always go down and markets will always go up, right? That's what we think, because that is what has happened to us recently. So the recency bias will hit us when we are sitting with your planner and making a plan. Because when the planner says you will get 12% return in equity, immediately you scoff and say, "Arey, last year I got 24, year before that I got 21. So I think we can provide for 21, 23, 25% kind of a return." Completely wrong. You also have to adjust to see real return. What did you get on your investment minus taxation minus inflation? How much did you get? That could be 2, 3%, 4%, and that could keep falling. Into equity markets can go down. So there is a tendency now at this stage to assume that markets will go up and interest rates will go down, and you have to be ready for exactly the reverse of interest rates going up and the markets going down. You have to be prepared, because over the next 30 years you're planning, or next 25 years that you're planning, all these things will become a reality. So it becomes some kind of a fallacy of the advisor to say, "Arey sir, 15% to mil jayega." You don't make any such assumption that interest rates could go up. So if you have a housing loan, it may make sense at this stage of the equity market to sell some equity and buy some and repay some loan simply. But in the long run, over next 10-15 years, that may not make sense, because because you think that equity returns would be higher than the interest that you pay, and you could be completely right. You could be completely right over a 8-year view or a 5-year view, and completely wrong over a 3-year view if the market falls 20% next year, right, or immediately. Then you feel, "Oh, I wish I had sold some." So there is this framing, how you and your advisor sit and frame, and whether you appreciate the impact of the long term on your portfolio. It could be inflation, it could be moving goals, it could be your daughter saying, "I want to study this," and then changing her goal, or halfway through saying, "I don't like this, want to give up and come here." So you've already spent 10-15 lakhs on that. What do? All those things have to be built in. Not that you can sit and build everything on day one, but you have to be ready that some of these things may go wrong. That is where it happens that you don't spend enough time. So the client or the prospect and the IFA both are in a hurry to say, "Okay, let's be done with it. कौन सा fund में डालूं? कौन सा fund में डालूं is a 5-minute thing, right? Goal setting is a 5-hour thing, right? And 5 hours of intense talk, not just about why 83 movie failed and why Virat Kohli is not hitting a century. No, just concentrated talking about the goals with the family, because the daughter and the son have to understand that these commitments for education is being made on their behalf. So if they are 15, 16, 17, they should understand all this. They should understand what the parents are doing for them. So get them also involved, and that is the goal setting process here. You have to think of all this. So this is a fallacy of not giving enough time, not thinking of through all the possibilities of real estate prices going down, of interest rates going up, of equity markets falling, you losing your job, your ESOP not being worthwhile. I mean, if you have got ESOP of HDFC Mutual Fund at 3,000 rupees because that was the price, chances are today the price is more like 2,000 than like 3,000. Then I'm going to make money. So building in all these things will be very important for you at this stage, and also to build in all the negatives, saying what happens if this happens. If you've taken a loan for your child's education, God forbid, if the child dies, who is going to repay? So taking a term insurance for the child when the child joins a college and you have borrowed money from your PF to pay for it. Sounds very morbid, but the question is, have you covered it? Have you covered the 30 lakh loan that you have taken? Have you taken a insurance on the kid? Because it's not on your life that it matters, it is on the kid. Maybe in your life, on your life also you take, because if something were to happen to you, how will your wife be able to repay that 30 lakh loan which you have borrowed. So you take a 30 lakh term cover for yourself and a 30 lakh term cover for your son or your daughter, whatever. So building all these, including the negatives, is very important at the planning stage or at the goal setting stage. Once the goal setting stage is over, then you go to stage 2, which is the implementation. So we will see what is the bias that could hit you there.